guys, welcome to another episode of Hockey Talk. So for this episode, I'm going to start off again with another story time. This story time goes back to when my dad coached in the Western Professional Hockey League for the Central Texas Stampede. He coached in two leagues after he retired from the National Hockey League. He coached in the now defunct Western Professional League, and then he coached in the IHL, which is now defunct. He coached the Central Texas Stampede as a head coach, and then he went up to the IHL with the Las Vegas Thunder as an assistant coach, and then moved up to the Utah Grizzlies as a head coach. So when he was coaching with the Central Texas Stampede, my brother and I went down to see him every couple of months, every 6 months or whatever. And so this particular trip, it was right after the season ended, and his team won the Western Professional the conference championship. So we were able to travel with him and the team. We had to get up really early, go from Belton, Texas, which is 2 hours away from Dallas, drive up to Dallas, and then fly from Dallas to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we spent about 4 or 5 days there. Just had a blast and got to take in two of their first games. As I said before, the Southwest U.S. hockey fans are crazy passionate about their hockey and their teams, and the New Mexico fans were no different. They love their Scorpions and they love their WPHL hockey. The Central Texas Stampede went on to win that series, and they went on to the finals of the WPHL, where they ended up losing eventually to the El Paso Buzzards. So anyway, that comes to my next topics, which is concussions in hockey. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Concussion. It's about the Dr. Bennett Amalu, who discovered called CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy. It's from basically getting hit too many times, and it's from concussions. And yes, sure, this is a football movie and about football players, but you can easily transfer that into hockey, because hockey players get hit just as much as football players, if not more, in my opinion, and if not harder. If you see some of the hits, especially open ice, center ice, some guys just getting train wrecked, laid out, KO'd. And people like to see big hockey hits, and they like to see hockey fights. And you know what? I'm not against hockey hits or hockey fights, but if you think about it, I mean, a good solid punch to the face, and guy gets knocked out. He's going down to the ice. He's nailing his head on rock hard ice, and that's going to create major brain trauma. If you look at some of the notable people who've had concussions, look at Eric Lindros, 7 concussions, which is forced him to retire. If you look at Adam Deadmarsh, he had 3 concussions, but 3 concussions is enough, and which caused him to miss 2 full seasons with concussions, and ultimately led to his retirement. Now, if you look at Sidney Crosby, he just came off his 3rd concussion. Still a young kid. He's still in his 20s. What's going to happen in 10 years? Like if he suffers his 6th concussion. I mean, and what people don't understand is people, what happens after guys retire? I mean, what's their quality of life going to be like after retirement? Um, you know, uh, it's not pretty. I mean, I've met a lot of ex NHL players, and they struggled with post concussion syndrome and issues related to their um, concussions. Um, Especially in the old days, in the 70s and 80s, when percussion con, uh, concussion protocols weren't nearly as stringent as they are today. I remember looking back at some old game films from the 80s and 70s and 80s, and guys used to get nailed as hard as they do now, and they'd get back on the bench and they'd be back up there 2 minutes later. Take some Tylenol, strap Tylenol on it, and get back out there. You're fine. And again, I go back to notable players that have been concussed and forced to retire from concussions. Steve Moore, look at Steve Moore. Um, you know, uh, he's he's now been retired. I don't know how long, but he was forced into retirement from that. Let's call it what it was, that vicious attack by Todd Bertuzzi. And I'm a BC boy, and I'm a huge Vancouver Canucks fan. But what happened to Steve Moore was a vicious attack, and he still suffers from post concussion syndrome to this day. And that leads me into my next topic is injuries in general. You know, not just concussions, but a lot of these guys have to have knee replacements and hip replacements and ankle surgeries, and they aren't able to walk by the time they're 70. Um, and you know what? It happens in sledge hockey too. I know for me, and I'm only a rec sledge hockey player. 2 years ago, I was playing sledge hockey just in a rec game, and I saw this guy coming up the blue line, and I was playing defense, so I turned into him, and he rammed into my sledge. And I kind of felt a little bit of a twinge in my calf, but I thought, okay, you know what? I'm close to the ice. I'm cold. It's probably just a muscle cramp. Shake it off. You're fine. So the same guy early or later in that game was in front of my net, and I was like, no, this isn't. I need to clear this guy away from my net. So I took a run at him, and again, the front of my sledge nailed the guy head on. And I felt an even worse twinge in my leg, so I was like, okay, probably should take it easy on the hitting and just go easy. So the game ends, and I go to pull myself back from my sledge. I get onto the ground, and I went to pull myself from the ground up into my chair. And I'm a bit of a bigger guy, so I had weight going for me, and going against me, I should say. And I had my shoulder pads on, which probably only contributed to an extra pound and a half, but still, that was too much. And I fell back on my legs, and I heard this sound like a potato bag, chip bag, like bursting open. That's not good. And I got into my chair, and my leg was sideways, basically. And I shattered my tibia and fibula in 5 places, leading to the end of my sledge hockey season that year. So I went back there. Um, I played last season, and I decided to take it really easy. I didn't, I still hit, but I only hit like shoulder to shoulder. I didn't hit from the front of my sledge, which is actually in sledge hockey uh, rules. It's illegal. It's called T-boning when you hit a guy with the front of your sledge. So the hits I made in that game were actually illegal hits. But anyway, let's get on to some hockey. Hockey. The schedule for tonight before I introduce my special guest for this show. So every episode I film, I'm going to pick 3 or 4 um, winners of games, and I'm going to bet on those games. And if you bet for those teams and I lose, and that team loses, I do apologize, but that's just my picks. So Arizona is in Philadelphia tonight. I'm gonna go with Arizona beating Philadelphia. I don't know, maybe because Arizona's in the Western Conference. I've been to that arena, and I just overall like the Arizona Coyotes. So I gotta go with my favorite team. So I'm gonna go with the Arizona Coyotes. Minnesota is in Buffalo. Tampa Bay is in Montreal. Detroit is in St. Louis tonight to play the Blues. Columbus is in San Jose. I'm gonna that's gonna be my second game. I'm going to go with San Jose beating Columbus just because they're at home. They got the hometown ice. They got the hometown crowd. Uh, I'm gonna say San Jose is going to beat Columbus. Now I don't know what the score is gonna be, but I'm gonna go with San Jose. New York is in Pittsburgh. Now, this is Sidney Crosby's second game back from concussion, and usually Sidney Crosby plays really well in his comebacks after concussions. But again, I'm a New York Islanders fan. I know it isn't in Pittsburgh, but I gotta go with my Islanders. I'm gonna go with the New York Islanders beating Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Florida is in Toronto now. I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan too, um, but they've been playing really, really not well this year. So unfortunately, I have to go against the Maple Leafs. I'm gonna go with Florida beating Toronto in Toronto. Dallas takes on Winnipeg in Winnipeg. And the Nashville Predators are in LA to take on the Kings. There's no there's no Canadian teams playing in the American Hockey League tonight, but the Toronto Marlies are on an absolute roll this year. They came back yesterday to beat the Providence Bruins 4-3 in overtime, uh, making it making bringing their record to 5-1. Their only loss has been in Rochester, 5-2 score um, against the Rochester Americans, the Buffalo Sabres um, farm team. So that brings me to my next topic. I'm going to introduce you to my next special guest. His name's Dave Cunning. I've known Dave now for quite a long time. Um, Dave's played with my brother all the way up through his minor hockey career. They've won a provincial championship together, and he went on to play college at Briarcrest College in Saskatchewan and played pro in France. So stay tuned. After the break, we will be interviewing Dave Cunning about his hockey career and what he's doing since his career. Hey Dave, thanks so much for joining me on the show. So, you've been in hockey for pretty much all your life now. So, can you tell me just a little bit about your past hockey history and your career in the hockey industry?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jeff. Happy to be here. So I started playing. My playing career started in West Kelowna here. Played my minor hockey career up till the midget level, alongside your brother
Hmm.
Justin. Were fortunate to win the provincial championship for midget double A in 1999, 2000. We're still the only team in association history to do that. So it's something definitely certainly proud of.
Hmm.
Um, Moving on after that, I was fortunate to play for the Creston Valley Thundercats in the KIJHL. Um, that led to an opportunity to walk on to Briarcrest College in Caronport, Saskatchewan, where I played for the Briarcrest College Clippers for 4 years. And that led to an opportunity to play professionally over in Europe. I played for Lyon HC, and that was coming up in about 10 years ago now. So
Wow, wow. So, can you tell me a little bit about that league and about the teams in that league? What kind of level of hockey is it compared to the NHL, AHL?
yeah, great question. So there's all sorts of levels. Every European country generally has a league, whether it's Sweden or Finland or what other countries are there? Switzerland, other stuff like that. And each league has a tiered levels. There's usually an elite league and then a Division 1, 2, 3, 4, and on and on. What's neat about over there is there's a relegation sort of thing. If you finish dead last in the league, you generally
Oh
go
yeah.
down a level.
Hmm.
If you win that league, you actually ascend. So the leagues are always changing. The levels are always changing. Budgets are increasing, so teams can afford better players, and they can thusly do better. So
Hmm.
it's neat. It's not such a physical style as a person compared to North America. A lot of looping, a lot of regrouping, a lot of possession entries and things like that. Um, I'll give you one example of that. One story I have. I was playing in Cholet, uh, and we were on the road. I delivered what I thought was a routine body check. Referee puts his hand up, puts me in the box. I'm apparently penalized for 10 minutes, 10 plus 2. I don't know what was going on, didn't speak very good French, couldn't understand the call. Apparently, I had hit somebody too hard, was what my teammate translated to me later, and so I sat for 10 plus 2 for that. So
Oh.
guys like me, a North American player, sometimes have to adjust. It's kind of tough sometimes.
What are the level of players that go over to France to play in that league?
Yeah, good question. It's going to be a lot of one. It depends on the league you enter into. So if you're an elite league player, you probably have a better resume. If you were going into a level of Division 1 or 2 or something like that, you might be a college player or maybe a junior player, something like
Hmm.
that. Who's You might be just there for the experience. Like a country like France obviously isn't as strong as a Sweden or a Finland or a Russia or something like
Mm.
that. So it takes all types. A lot of players just want to get an opportunity to get a foot in the door. So that ends up what happens a lot of the time.
Right, cool. So I see you're wearing some kind of hockey jersey. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'll show you right here. This is the Jeju Islanders, which stands juxtaposed to these guys right here. Um, but after my playing career, my wife and I went over to South Korea for 4 years. I got to start up a hockey team over there. These guys, with some like-minded expats who had a desire to play hockey as well. It's a neat team. We play ball hockey and inline hockey. We put on 2 tournaments a year now, and it's a team that's still going, even though we've been gone for a while. But it's just an awesome thing that I was able to start up and continue to
Yeah.
be a part of since I've left.
Right. So what have you been doing since you've been back from Korea, hockey wise?
Hockey wise, not a whole lot as far as playing. I mean, a spare on the odd beer league team, but been more into coaching. Coached a little bit with Okanagan College, with Banff Hockey Academy, and this year I'm the strength and conditioning coach for the Kelowna Chiefs junior B team. So kind of returning to the KIJHL, which is a
Yeah.
lot of fun. Which parlays into what I'm doing as well, as far as I'm a personal trainer at Steve Nash Fitness World. So I train a lot of hockey players and just other people who have different fitness goals.
Yeah.
And I'm also a freelance sports writer, write about hockey a lot,
Hmm.
and get to interview other hockey players. So
Cool. What have you been doing in your personal life? What's been going on since Korea?
Probably the biggest thing. My wife and I had a son, so I have a 7-month-old son now named
Quinn.
Quinn. So he's awesome. Takes up a lot of my and her time, but in a good way. We love him to death. We wouldn't have it any other way. So that's certainly our main focus right now in our lives.
Perfect. So you're the strength and conditioning coach in the KIGHL. Can you tell me a little bit about that league and who do you see coming out on top and winning the league this year?
Well, I'm obviously biased,
Yeah.
so I'm going to say my Kelowna Chiefs for sure. Got to know these guys over the last little while. It's tough because even in a couple months, I've seen guys traded and move on. But you see guys come down from junior A or go up the other way. So there's a lot of movement. It's tough. You as a league, it's a developmental league, and you want good players to stay with you, but at the same time, I think the management and coaches are charged with having people move on, which is sometimes at the expense of your own team doing well. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Chiefs are going to win. They're doing great so far. I'm really proud of them. They've come a long way in our dryland sessions and things like that, and it's certainly paying off on the ice. So go Chiefs, go is what I would say.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Dave. Thanks for thanks for tuning in to this interview. And remember, you can follow Dave on Twitter at Dave Cunning. So that's going to wrap up this episode of Hockey Talk for this week. Please remember that I still have that 8x10 Bob Bourne signed picture available. This is the last time it's going to be available on the show. Next month we will have another prize pack available for giveaway. To win that picture, as I've just shown you, all you have to do is, I'm going to make it really simple, is answer this trivia question. What country invented the game of sledge hockey? To answer this question, you can leave your answer in the comment section below the video on YouTube, or you can tweet me at sledgehockeyguy, or once the video is posted on the disabilitychannel.ca, I will be posting it to my Facebook, so you can leave your answer under the video on my Facebook. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining me again, and I look forward to seeing you next week, and always remember to refuse to lose. Thanks.